Some say that I must be a wizard. While others say that I'm clearly a druid. Then there are those who say that my videos are like Time Team, while others say they're from the realm of Xena warrior princess. What they all agree on though is they're right out of Middle Earth. As for myself, I've no idea where these notions come from. So we've come here for the greater good to find out.
Immortal Father Zeus in heaven, curse this brute if he eats me, torture him with the slain serpent's blood and crow's droppings.
Come on, Gabrielle. I need to fertle around in Callisto's trench because she's feeling like she may get a finger ring there.
Where are we going now? To right wrongs? Xena?
And as usual, we've got just 3 days to do it. Basically, Britain is covered in remains of the past. I'm constantly going places and thinking, oh, that's interesting. That's an earthwork. That's certainly earthwork, but that's not marked on the map. Because there are so many sites that to get round to investigating them would take a long time and involve getting a lot of permission from people in order to do it. Well, there have been reports of unusual remains here, and while John can't do any geophys because of all the trees and roots, Francis says that won't be necessary because it's quite obviously a ritual site. And these remains that have been found could either be a settlement or a burial or something else. And while this was all going on, Phil decided to open up a trench. And what we've got here, Tony, as you can see, that it's all the different layers of stratification, and you can see that where they've been put in with, you can tell from this what the weather was like for the years preceding. You can see how crumbly this is, and then look how dry this is, and look, even here we've got beech nuts that haven't quite rotted away. And what this tells us is there's been a lot of leaves put on here. And already we have our first finds. So, what have we got here? Well, let's take a look at this. Now this was found on the sea, and again, it's got a stone in there, but it also had a hole all the way through. It's a bit of conglomerate, I think. And my father found this, and this was in, when he died, this was one of the things that came to me, that I inherited from his collection of things. Shame I was only 19, no, I was 20 when he died, so I didn't get a chance to ask him what these were all about. There's a bit of a cobweb in that one, but I guess this was a male-female thing, same as it is for me. Now again, this is another find from the forest. This is a bit of a, well, what I call a goddess flint. You can see, I mean, some people might see an animal there, but I didn't when I got it. That's what I got. A head, the rounded breasts, waist, hips is what I saw. And when I found it, it was actually all green. Yeah, well, I've seen the suspect. He's heading north up the high street. So the green goddess has turned white with age and become pure. I did actually find this in an ancient forest, which is always a thrilling thing. And when exactly shall I blow my horn? Now, while I go and get someone to look into this hole, let's have a look at some more finds. Now, continuing the found items, this is one, and it came into my possession many years ago from a magical place, and it's still very secret to this day. You can see it. Maybe if I get it a bit wet, you can see the colouring. It's kind of red and green. Again, more male or female balance weaving together. There's a theme developing here, isn't there? You must go to Mordor, Frodo. You must. Throw the ring into the fiery quim. Now, most of my finds have had some kind of magical beginning, and this one is no exception. This piece of stone, I went to Wales, North Wales, and on one day I visited the site of an old gold mine. Not one that's open to the public, it's just one that's by the river. Basically, two rivers join at this one point. And I went there, and I knew that day that I was going to find a piece of gold. And I looked and I saw this, and I picked it up, and I did exactly what I'm doing now. And I rolled it around until I saw a bit of light glinting off it. And I looked, and to me it's gold. It could be pyrites, but as far as I'm concerned, I have a piece of gold that I found at a Welsh gold mine by a river in an oak valley. And that's magic for me. Gabrielle, a piece of advice for you. If you want to get a hat, get a head.
Oh, thanks, Xena.
This one I used to wear on my hat, like this. And let's see if I can show you it. There, it's an old kind of Viking design. I love it. Absolutely, totally love it. But I turned up at a job. One of the first jobs that I did as a woodland gardener, and I was doing it with a friend, and I quote this in some of my videos, and the bloke we were working for, he said to my friend, he said, "Mark, he's not run of the mill, is he?" So hopefully someone will know to put that on my tombstone as my last words. It's got the Celtic knotwork as well, and I love this design. I mean, it's probably supposed to be that way, isn't it? That it's warm, but I wear it like that. Bring me the ring, Xena.
Hey, Xena, have you noticed how quickly the seasons change in this place?
Right, Gabrielle. Did you hear that? Well, I've come up here, or down here, I should say, to escape the noise of the diggers and all the commotion going on at the dig. And while we do that, let's show you a few finds. This is what I see as a wolf's foot. That was a find that I came across on a walk. This is something that I thought was interesting. This is a stone with what looks like a flame, but I like the idea that, and obviously a bit of conglomerate, I suppose, but that obviously had something in it at some point. Again, I can't remember where I found that. This was given to me by my daughter. Not technically a find, but it's, you know, it's a special piece for me. A scallop shell, tiny scallop shell in a piece of stone. Now we come on to the interesting, or more interesting bits. This is a piece of pumice. You can see, if you could feel it, you know, it's so light, it's incredibly light. It's almost like a bit of balsa. It's balsa wood, you know, it's really light, really, you know, I can't emphasize how light this is. And again, that was found somewhere where I was working, but I can't remember where it was because I didn't know I was going to do this video. Now, we come on to one of my favourite finds, and that is this is a rabbit pelvis, but it's actually turned to stone. Listen, and I'll do it on my teeth. That's stone now. Now it may not be a rabbit, but I'm saying rabbit because it's the only thing that is close in size. It could have been something, you know, far more ancient than that. This last find that I'm going to show you here, this I found in the middle of a wood as I was walking through a special ancient woodland that I've been going to for many years, over 50 years. You know, from a little child all the way up to a few months ago even. And in a few days too. Is this. Now if you can see that, now that, it feels like molten metal. But there is no iron content in there because I've checked. And I've searched online because I thought, as soon as I picked it up, I thought this is strange. And at first I thought it was molten metal. And then I realised that it was like nothing, it's really heavy. As the pumice is light, this is as heavy as. And I think this is a piece of meteorite. Because I've looked online and it fits loads and loads of pictures of meteorite that I've seen. There's different kinds of meteorite, but there's one that's like this. So this is my piece of space. So I suppose I'd better head back, see what's going on up at the dig. Well, it's the end of day one and we're off to the Prancing Pony in Brie for a drink with Strider. We'll see you tomorrow and see what tomorrow brings. Well, it's the beginning of day 2 in this beautiful site. And speaking of beautiful sites, let's go and see what's happening up there with Phil. Now, any professional worth his mattock knows his salt, or his little mattock. Oh, and we have a find. It's even got my name on it, look. This is from some kind of vessel made in 1864 in Bath. Not quite a rim shard, but it is pottery.
What is that? A big cat? Or a griffin?
Bring me the ring, Xena.
Yeah, big griffin with a cat in its mouth.
Shush.
Oh, maybe not.
Did you hear that?
Of course not. I was discussing something highbrow.
This find needed no digging. Well, this find was from a special place. I'd gone to check out a stone circle, and I got there and I found that the gates you come through, and then you have an oak tree, and in the oak tree there was mistletoe growing, and then there was a stone circle of maybe a dozen or so stones, and then I walked a little bit further and I found this on the floor, on the ground. And not only that, it still had wet blood on it, and has obviously gone into my collection of things that are magical and mean a lot. It's from a fallow deer at a Druidic stone circle. Bring me the ring. Oh, but Xena, it's always been this way. You made me. Well, believe it or not, this is the site of an old Celtic well. Spring well. I think you may be able to see some of it down there. I cleared this out years ago, but yeah, this is where, so obviously there's some dwelling around here, some settlement. It is on a hill and you can see all the way around, so it's not out of the realms of possibility. Now, it is interesting to see the similarities between Time Team and my work. If you haven't seen Time Team and don't know what this parody is, check them out if you're interested in history and some eccentric British people. But you know, over the years I must have done probably as much digging as the people have done. It's possible that I've done as much digging as the diggers as well, but looking at it, there's quite a lot. But then I have done quite a lot of digging in the past 25 years. Come, Frodo, I must meet with Sauron. Well, the finds are rolling in now. Now this little item is probably familiar to some people. I can't remember what it is, but you find quite a lot of them in gravel. This I found possibly on a car park where I worked. Obviously it's been blasted out of the earth by quarrying, but it's a lovely point. Most of them that you find aren't this long. Okay, Gabrielle, you stay here. I need to go and get my sword sharpened.
Oh, Xena, will you teach me to fight? I will do what you say.
Stop pestering me, Gabrielle.
Please, 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 please.
I'll teach you to fight when I think you're good and ready. I'll go. Now, over the years, I have had a number of trips. Now, over the years, I've had a number of finds in bizarre places of knives, and this is no exception. This is my most recent find. This I found, I actually dug it up. So I took it to the people whose garden I dug it out of, and I showed it to them, and I said, oh, I've just dug this. And they said, oh, well, that's not one of ours. It says star on it, and I've no idea how old it is or anything about it, but it's just one of a number. I think there's half a dozen knives I've found sticking in the ground. This one was buried, but most of them I found in the ground like that, not in a place where you would have thought where someone would have been doing ritual, but a place where someone sat and had lunch, more likely. Somehow I find them. It's very strange. All kinds of knives. I don't have them now. Oh, I've got two. One that I used to butter my bread, in fact. But I thought, you know, how many knives do you want to see? But they're the only two I've got left. Now, as for my weapon, this is something that I forged myself in a forge. It's properly made. I did it as part of a course. Yeah, who would have thought a warrior priestess goes on a course? But this is perfect, according to the lecturers and the people who marked this. I'm serious. This was the only 10 out of 10, and I wasn't even doing metalwork. But the forge and me and fire, we work well. I mean, look at that. Look how perfect that is. I'm really proud of this. I made it 40 years ago. And basically I did it in a few hours. I just went whack, 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 heat up, whack, 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 and it's perfect. Absolutely perfect. Because all these angles that you see on there, they're defined. They're actual angles that you're supposed to make in this, on this course. All the tiny angles, every single piece of this is measured like you wouldn't believe, and they give 10 marks for something and 10 marks for something else. Perfection. Now this is an area of lots of history. There's ancient British settlements, and there are also Roman remains, and quite often some of them are close to the surface. Like, for example, I've just found this. Now this obviously is going to need looking at and dating, because I can't work out if the handle is that way or whether it's that way. It is quite black, which indicates fire, doesn't it? Yeah, don't know, it could just be someone's hearth. Helen? Helen? Has anyone seen Helen?
No. For a while.
Oh, I wonder where she's gone. In the meantime, why don't you tell us about this one, Xena? Well, seeing as you ask, I will tell you about my perfume bottle. This I found in the earth of time as I was mining for minerals for the plants, and it just popped up, and I saw it, and I saw it was a beautiful scallop, which is, you know, which is water, and water is precious. And so this is the best find that I've ever had. And in it, Gabrielle, I carry the smell of the universe. Now, one thing that does is quite interesting is that if you've ever seen Time Team, is that Phil, one of the main digging people and knowledgeable people, he grew up a few miles from me. By the time he was, you know, he's a bit older than me anyway, but yeah, literally just up the road a few miles. So I do feel there is a bit of a connection there. And with Tony also being from Bristol, which is over there. Isn't it time for 11s, Frodo? Bring me the ring. Well, we're going down here because I've been summoned by Bridget to take a look at her intriguing mound. So this piece, this crystal I found at a job. Never could trace the owner. And it's a beautiful piece of smoky quartz with rainbows. Rainbows, with rainbows, with rainbows, with rainbows. Yeah, bows. I was a bit skeptical about crystals until I held this one in my hands and I felt its power. It's just the most gorgeous one I've ever seen or felt or heard or touched ever. And it just surprised me. It's like smoky at the fatter end, and then it tapers to white at the other end, and I love it. Well, it looks like there is something of interest under here. So I'm going to clear this ivy and we'll see what there is there. Yes, there is something here. Okay. I'm going to need some heavier tools. And just as I suspected, if you have a look here, what can we see? Look how weathered this is. There's another one there, another one here, and this one on the end. Look. Now these look really old. These are actually, they're possibly Roman. These. Now obviously we don't know for 100%, but this is the site of an old quarry. Bath is not far away, and these look like rejects that have been found when the houses that are here were dug out. That's what I suspect. You'll have to kill me first, Xena. Go on, Xena. Kill me.
Xena, is this the run part?
I've got your chakram. Chase me. Look, it's Tom Bombadil! Tom Bombadil! Tom! And hopefully tomorrow we'll be able to tie up all the loose ends of this place. I'm really surprised that Gimli hasn't joined us yet. It's the start of our final day here, and well, let's go and see what's going on. Ooh, hello. Do you fancy going out somewhere? This one's what I call the Crystal Goddess Stone, and she lives on my doorstep. Not literally by my doorstep in a bowl with some others, but she's on the top guarding it. Now, I like this stone because it looks like a goddess, doesn't it? It looks like a female figure, but obviously not a fertility one. It's more of a head one because of the glinty shine of her spirit. Thankfully she's not a piece of charcoal, because I didn't fancy carbon dating. There's Treebeard. Treebeard. Oh, Legless, have you fallen over again? Give me the map. I've been doing a lot of aimless walking about. Now I'm a bit like Stuart, the landscape investigator there on the programme, because over the years I've spent lots of time looking at maps, looking at places to go and visit, and I'm very good at reading a map and then coming to the land and reading the land. And I've just found a badger set. There you go, reading the land. That's badgers. It's probably a home from home rather than a set, because that's what they do. They have a main set and then they disappear off, and if they're caught out they'll just dig a hole and live in it for a while they do their foraging. And every time they come back there they maybe dig it out a bit more, and possibly when young leave they may move into it. But I don't know that much more about badgers, except their sexual activity.
Ah, Gimli, at last.
Gimli! Gimli!
Gimli! Gimli!
Shh!
Hold up. A strider.
Let's take a look at some more finds. Let me show you. This bit of magic. Now this is a glass bottle, but within it is a rattly thing. Which has now got stuck. But if you look in there, you can see there's clearly something in there. There. Now there's something in there. Quite clearly. You can see it's sort of reddish. But if you look that way, yeah, well, that wasn't as good a demonstration as I was hoping, but Gandalf-y magic, because you can't get this out of here. So I'm guessing it's calcified with the moisture. But I still can't work out what it is. It's a bit pink, as well as being white. Maybe you can tell me, Frodo. Now, off with you. Throw the ring into the fire.
Frodo! Quiet. Frodo.
Now towards the end of this video, seeing as the chemistry is perfect as it is, I shall change the format and make some additions. You can call it the grease if you like, because things will go downhill very quickly after that. And as I said earlier, you know, history's everywhere in Britain. You can go anywhere and find something. You know, there's the pillars, that's the well, there's various springs that I've been to that I know are really important springs, or were, you know, hundreds of years ago, maybe even thousands of years ago. Certainly the one just up here is probably, you know, was really important a few thousand years ago or more, just because of this being on a hill in an escarpment, and where, you know, you can look out towards Wales from here. So yeah, you know, if you're in Britain and wandering about, just keep your eyes peeled. Some rocks, some piles of stone you find in a wood, they're not something from a, they're not quite, you know, they could be a wall, but also, quite equally, they may not be something from like 100 years ago, they may be something that was there many, 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 many years ago. And as I've found out through doing what I do, you know, some things can just be literally lying there on the surface, having been brought up by badgers, or, you know, or tilling, or even digging in a garden. This is one of my favourite finds. It's a glass syringe, complete with that at the bottom. Proper, I'm not quite sure what it is. It looks like a piece of cork. I was really pleased to find this syringe. It was in an area that I hadn't dug and hadn't been dug for a while. Whether it was from the place where I dug it up, or whether it was just from, you know, had been brought in, soil brought in to, you know, when they did the building here. But it's remarkably well preserved. You know, there's only a slight breakage on the point bit, and the rest of it's all there. I mean, I haven't cleaned it out yet because I don't know how to do that. Now, to conclude the glassware, we have a couple of stoppers, if that's not too rude a thing to say. These stoppers I found just generally digging over a patch. I think it was for planting vegetables, and they were there, you know, less than a spit down in the ground. That's how close these things are to the surface. And sorry to repeat that, but they are. Now, if you want a little tip for being out and walking about, when you go uphill or across a slope, make sure that the hand or the arm nearest the side of the hill is free, because should you slip, there is a possibility that you can injure yourself. You can injure the arm, the wrong arm, as it were. So, you know, there's the slope on my left, so my hand's free. But should I have this, what it means is if you slip, you use that arm to balance, and because you're holding something, you can actually twist something in your arm or in your back. I was only holding an apple once when it happened.
Nobody but my mother knows this. I had 6 toes on my right foot when I was born. Don't look. It's gone now.
Well, it's the end of 3 days, And what have we found out? Well, seems that people used to live there. They built some buildings, they ate, killed some animals, did some foraging, drank water from the springs, and all kinds of things, and left some things behind for people like me to discover. And I'd like to thank everybody who's helped us do this. Xena, Gabrielle, Gandalf. What is it with all this noise and people? And time to visit the Green Dragon Inn at Bywater for some cider. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Ta-da!
Where are we going now? To right wrongs? Xena?